Rick, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Keith. How are you? It's been a while.
It's been too long, my friend. Too long, too long. You ready to get at it?
Yes, sir. You
Yeah.
look happy and healthy, and I think I'm just going to listen all morning while you do
It's
it.
gonna be a quick one, man. We're gonna hit this together as we always do. I am happy and I'm healthy, and you look the same. You look the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The title of this podcast is "Does Your Best Shine Through, Regardless of the Role You Play?" And may I start, Rick? Is that okay?
Of course, yes.
Okay. So what I really come to know through the practice is that for much of my life, I had been identified with the role with roles. And I was identified with them so much so that there was no distinction between me and the role. I am a financial planner. If you know, I am a college student, and maybe there were multiple roles, but I was identified with them. I wasn't this being who at that particular moment was performing a role. I was the role. And so if anything came in that either amplified the role or maybe more attached to it, let's say success, then I would, have this strengthening of the ego regarding it. Oh, you're a great financial planner, or you're great this. And then if something would happen to where, oh, we lost money and you are awful financial planner, I would feel, injured by that too. And what I find is that through all of the roles I've played in my life, I spend a fair amount of time in those roles, being unconscious, and that I could judge people in every one of those roles. Financial planner, a Marine. I could have, dislikes with what was happening in life and all those things. And what I'm getting at is that regardless of what the role was, I was experiencing a lot of suffering and causing a lot of suffering because I was unconscious while I was playing a certain role. And that has changed quite a bit. So I thought about this topic a few weeks ago. And what I thought about was I just asked myself a question. Did my consciousness, the consciousness that I, work with the practice to flow through me more consistently, was it informing my behavior when I was playing those roles before?
Uh,
And majority of the time, the answer is no. As a Marine, I was stationed in Yuma. I was so disappointed. My ego was so disappointed by being in Yuma that I was unaware, Rick, that there were things to actually do in Yuma, that it was possible to have a good time in Yuma. And I had one friend who was conscious while he was in Yuma, and he made the most of the 4 years that he was there. We're in the same place. One person is conscious, experiencing a lot of joy, making kind contributions along the way. The other person, this guy, unconscious, and I am literally a troublemaker and a walking grievance, for 4 years while I was there. And then you fast forward to financial planning. When the market was up, oh, I was high as a cow. Hi, everybody. I'm giving out lollipops and stickers to everybody. The whole night. Market is down. Don't talk to me. What's going on? Like literally, I was so identified with that, and I was unconscious instead of being kind and open and really personable to, with others. I was the exact opposite. I was closed off. I was worried. I was ruminating. I was distracted from the present moment with people. And ToBeRe, I was much more of I guess I had a authoritarian disposition back then, and not being open to anyone not doing it the way that I thought we should go about accomplishing or achieving their goals. And so there was a lack of consciousness there. But ToBeRe helped me, it put me on the path to start to change. And so with a lot more suffering along the way, being my teacher, I got how important it was to do everything to remove all of the barriers to my consciousness shining through. And now that's how I show up today. And with ToBeRe in the world, in this country, as a colleague at Mayo Clinic, I share up that way now. I show up that way now. And I'm much happier, and hopefully I'm sprinkling a whole lot more kindness as opposed to in drifting in the wind when Keith walks. Like right now, when I go through places, like people have to like brush off their shoulders because I've been sprinkling kindness everywhere I go. And so there's kindness glitter all over everyone. But before, when I was Keith 1.0, have you ever seen, Rick, like when they have like these I don't know, ticker tape parades in which like or some kind of leaflets? That's better. The leaflets that fall out of planes when like, government entities are trying to drop messages and stuff like that. That's what I would be doing. Like, you imagine Keith has just walked through here and you see these grievances, these leaflets just floating down to the ground.
That's a beautiful analogy.
That's what I used to do everywhere I went, man. There was no kindness glitter. I'm dropping leaflets about, this is complaint 137. Oh, this is grievance, 158, section B. I mean, it's just like that, Rick, everywhere I went. Oh man, it was a mess, man, because I was not bringing consciousness to every role that I played. So I'll let you close us out with your thoughts.
Well, first of all, you're being way, way too hard on yourself, because I was there in your ToBeRe days, and the leaflets that fell out of the sky weren't nearly as oppressive as you're claiming they were. I mean, part of the problem is that when we're in a different role than who we really are, is that we do things that we normally wouldn't do, right? I mean, part of having a grievance is basically saying to the world, you're not meeting my expectations. And because of that, I'm not going to play. I'm going to pout, or I'm going to resent where I am or what I have or what I don't have. I think one of the things that helped me get out of that mode was just trying to find what I really wanted. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be friendly. I wanted to feel like I was respected. I wanted to feel like I was loved for who I was. And I thought, maybe the way to do this is not to try to complain about not having those things, but what if I just pretended? What if I just adopted the role of being kind, like you're saying, or being compassionate, or being supportive, and not thinking anything more about it than just trying that and saying to myself, boy, I'm really faking this. I'm really making this all up. I'm not this way at all, but I'm going to pretend like I'm this way, just like an actor takes on a role as a mass murderer or some other foul sociopath. The actor is not that, but the presentation is. So what if you reverse that, and instead of being who you are, maybe complaining and frightened, or arguing with the universe about what shows up, and you just for one day flip that and said, hey, today, everybody, I love everybody. I'm looking at everybody as by being an extended cousin. We're all related. Or I'm going to be the guy that's driving me crazy. I'm just going to ignore that craziness and try to get at him and be as friendly as I can and try to find out who he really is. And my point is, if for me, what helped me get away from a lot of judging was just the idea that I didn't want to have anyone think of me as being a judger. And I didn't want to feel all that internal, expectation defeat that I always seem to have. So once I started to do a little role playing with the idea that doesn't matter what you're doing, but you are a stimulus to me as a way of being the way I want to be. And then just try that role out. Just try pretending that this is, I'm like you, I'm dropping leaflets of kindness, or I'm doing things that I think are really fun for me and interesting for me, and just let it see just observe what happens. I think if we can get away from our roles in the sense of always trying to be a certain way, good things happen.
Yeah, I think so too, Rick. And, I'll close this out. That was so great. Yeah, whether it's faking or practicing it, it becomes habit forming. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that I did, that I do now when something takes me out of consciousness and I really want to continue to have an open heart and be compassionate, I just practice that, regardless of what the situation is. When my mind says, no, this is not the place to be compassionate, I said, no, I want to be unconditional in my in extending compassion to other people. And to do that requires me to not make distinctions between who to be compassionate to and who not to be compassionate to, what to accept and not to accept. And again, when people hear the word acceptance, they think like you accept everything. No, you accept this moment the way it is. That doesn't mean that you don't try to improve upon it, but you do so coming from a peaceful place. So all those things, I've learned to do, and it's made me much happier when I wasn't, identifying with my role, but I was like, who am I being as I'm in this role? So whether you're a physician, you can still be, you can, in that moment that you're at the hospital or you're caring for a patient, you can be a physician or a nurse or a healthcare professional. You can perform that role, but what informs how you perform that role is a spirit of kindness, of love and compassion.
Mm.
Like that's what's really going to make the work, no matter how challenging the day may be, that's what's going to make it meaningful. But if you are unconscious as you go about your role, like I can't believe how many patients we have to see today, or I can't believe like how many, if you're a teacher, how many kids we got to see today. If that's going to be your thing, not only is the situation going to burn you out, but your how you are showing up to the situation is going to burn you out a lot faster than any situation will. What left me exhausted and unfulfilled in Yuma during those 4 years in Marine Corps was less about the Arizona heat. It was more about my constant complaints and resistance to being in Yuma for 4 years. That's what burned me out. Same because I'm in the same like hot weather here in Phoenix, Arizona. Since I started doing it in practice, I don't experience burnout. Same weather, same weather. It could maybe be hotter now than it was, 30 years ago. So yeah, the point is that really take a look at who you're being in whatever role you're playing, whether it's a parent, whether it's a professional in your career, whether it's a neighbor. Like who are you being as you perform those roles? So Rick, thank you for a great show, man.
Oh, hey, Keith, I just love being with you and love listening to you riff and talk about things that are important in your life and what you've learned, and also what your training in psychology has brought you, and your own spiritual path is so inspiring to me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rick. I love you, man.
I love you. Adios.
Adios.